Hey everyone, welcome to Houdini Hangout. We are in July officially, so welcome to the stream for this evening. Tomorrow is a holiday in the USA, so I have a feeling some people might be out, some people might be, you know, doing family things, doing travel, whatever they might be doing. But if you're here, thanks for joining us, and should be an interesting one this evening. Yeah, so obviously, I think everybody was pretty excited last week to get some, get some insight into the new Houdini 20.5 features and release information. Obviously, it's going to be a fun one. Lots of cool new features and things that can be just played around with. Cops is a huge one. Copernicus and NPM will be really exciting to see as well. Lots of other fun little quality of life things that you'll probably experience as you explore further and further. Hey, KG, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Yeah, sorry, I'm just turning off my notifications. But anyways, yeah, so if you didn't see that video from last week, we kind of broke down the presentation. So go check that out. Hey, Carlos, welcome. If you haven't seen that, it might be worth taking a look at. It was pretty fun. And we got a lot of good questions, a lot of good conversation, things like that. So yeah, it was really, really fun. So, another thing that I've been thinking a lot about, and even did a little bit of learning today, about is all of this Apex stuff. I feel like it's become Carlos, you're one step ahead of me. I'm starting to get really intrigued by Apex. Feel like it's probably about time for me to really dig into that. I don't know, I really need to learn it a little bit more first, but so Carlos just said, do you know if the sculpt node is built in Apex like the scene animate? And the answer is no, it's not built in Apex. Now, does that mean that it is not a compiled graph? No. I'm actually kind of unsure of exactly how that node works under the hood. I'm trying to think. I really don't think there's any. I mean, there might be conceptually things that are similar to Apex in there, right? Because we've talked about that a little in the past, that these compiled graphs and invocable graphs and things like that. That's kind of the idea of Apex in a way. It just takes it a little bit further, and I'm assuming there's some of that type of stuff going on there. A lot of nodes, more and more, especially the higher and higher performance that you need from a node like live, the more likely it is that you'll see invocable compiled SOPs, invoke graphs, things like that. So I think that is definitely the way of the future as far as really high performance Houdini development, basically. But for that specific node, I don't know 100% sure exactly what's under the hood, but I don't think it's Apex. And in fact, I'm almost positive it's not Apex. But yeah, anyways, KG was saying, I saw a few of the focus videos on recipes and cops. A lot to process. Yes, quite a bit. I can't remember if was there a Hive talk about the recipes? That would be cool. I don't remember if there was or not. Was there? That's a good question. Side effects. Yeah, there is, right? Yeah, Attila did one. That's right. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting for you. I think it was a pretty cool. I'm sure it was a cool presentation. I haven't gotten a chance to watch all of those yet. But yeah, that was. If you're interested in some more H20.5 chat, feel free to go to last week's video and you'll find a lot there. If you need anything at all from me or from, have suggestions for the stream, suggestions for ideas about what we could talk about, suggestions for making the stream better from a technical standpoint, happy to hear some of those things as well. Because, while I enjoy using Houdini, I don't always know a ton about all of the latest cool streaming things that are out there. So if you ever have like a suggestion, hit me up. I'm always all ears. I know some people have suggested things before, and some of them are easier to implement than others. But that being said, I'm always open. So join the Discord at HoudiniHangout.com. You can get a Discord invite, and then we'll there's lots of good conversation going on over there. There's somebody that posted something there that I, after this stream, want to go take a look at. So some interesting questions and things like that are always good to do over there. And I can answer questions a lot better when I'm not sitting in front of a camera, and I can take some time and think about it. Or other people can as well. Lots of great, helpful people there. So, with that being said, as always, with these streams, if you guys have any suggestions or thoughts, anything that can make the stream better for people watching, whether it's a question, whether you think maybe I'm doing something in a dumb way, which happens quite often, please feel free to suggest that. Drop those comments in the chat. I'm always open to hear, what people might suggest for me to do better or for me to change when I'm doing something. If you have an idea, whatever, this is an open space. I'm not here to talk at you. Hopefully we can all have a conversation together and all learn something, maybe me included, hopefully. I mean, that's always the case, that I would like to learn something. So, so with that being said, let's switch over to Houdini and dive in. Dramatic fade, because I didn't press the right button. There we go. All right. So let me pull up the link for this kind of effect that we're going to try to go for today. Let's see here. Samuel. So this effect that that Crossfader actually suggested comes from this guy, Samuel Pietri. I don't know. I'm probably saying that terrible, but it's a pretty interesting effect. It's this really weird kind of Voronoi particle thing going on. So the idea here is I think a couple fold. What I'm going to, it's a little hard to tell with like the compression and stuff like that, exactly what's going on here. But what I'm going to try to do, I think, is do like vortex forces around, source points, and then have them slowly trail off with this kind of Voronoi type influence pattern. That's my idea here as far as how I want to try to do this. I think what we're going to do is do a couple steps at a time. First of all, I want to look a little bit at how we can first get these Voronoi cells, or these Voronoi kind of patterns calculated from, source points. So that's going to be kind of step one. I want to start playing around with that before we even get into the simulation, because I think doing that in SOPs before we have all the dynamics and time-based stuff, it's just going to be easier to deal with when we're not working with that in DOP. So I'm going to start there, and then we'll kind of start going through and seeing what it is we can come up width. So I'll just put this off to the side here for now. And yeah, let's dive in. So let's do this. Let's do a geometry. Do we want to do a separate one for these? No, we could probably just do it all together. We'll say sim Voronoi forces, something like that. All right, so let's go inside here. So I think what we're going to do for this at first is going to at least be a we'll just start with the grid, I think is the best thing to do for right now. I think I'm going to eventually make a little box out of this, but we'll start with a grid. Let's scatter a bunch of points here. So we'll use a scatter, and let's crank that up a little bit. Yeah, something like that's probably better. Okay, so we've got a bunch of points here. So what we need to do is try to, we need to start with some, some source points. So let's do this. Let's just do another scatter here, and we're going to turn this one way down. We're going to set this to be like 10 or something like that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the relax iterations. Just let me see this here. Yeah. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to put a transform here. There's a couple, obviously we could do this several different ways, but right now we're just dealing with a grid. So probably the easiest thing to do is just scale this down a little bit here as a grid. So now we're scaling down our source grid for those particles only. So maybe 0.6. And then we've got all those particles there. Let's then do some noise on these. So let's do an attribute adjust. Let's see this. Attribute adjust vector. We'll change P. We'll add this as noise. And Yep, that's why it's not capital P. Hello? Oh, I've got my caps lock on. There we go. I was going to say, that should be moving these, so that's really weird. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the component scope of Y here. So we're just going to move this in X and Z, and I'll animate it, and we'll just kind of start to get some random noise here with these particles, right? I think I'm going to push that. Let's see these guys and maybe push this a little further. Don't want it to really go outside of this bounds. So I'm going to turn the element size up a little bit so that it's a little bit like bigger movements. And then I'm going to give the amplitude a little bit more, maybe 2. And the fractal, probably turn that down a little bit. Maybe like that. Yeah, that seems a little fast still. So let's cut this down. Let's try like, that seems pretty good. Maybe 3 will be fine. Something like that. Cool. Hey, Spraw. Sprawa. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Let me take a quick break here for some decaf coffee. I just need a warm drink. All right. So we've got some particles moving around here. Let's now kind of play around with this a little bit. I think I might actually want to make this a little bit bigger. So let's do 3 here and see. Don't want it to go outside of that. Nope, but it's good. That's looking good. Cool. Great. All right. So what we need to do is sort of figure out which particle or which point here is close to which sort of source point over here. Let's make these a little bit bigger. Let's go to geometry. Let's do point size 6. And let's, since we're doing a lot of particle stuff, let's maybe switch this over to dark gray. That might be a little easier to see. Okay, so hey, Matt, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. All right, so let's do this. Let's do a point VOP, not a point cop. That would be very different meaning maybe soon. There's not a point cop, but at least not that I know of. All right, so let's do this. Hey, Zach, welcome. All right, so we're going to be working over this point cloud here. And we want to maybe look up those other ones. So I believe there's a Voronoi noise in here. Sure is. Okay, so sorry, just thinking here out loud a little bit. So I'm pretty sure if we just put this in here and put this out, no, that's not gonna work. Let's do bind export of, I can never remember which one of these is. Can never remember which. Hello? Oh, hitting 0, and that's why. Okay, so let's do that, and we'll get rid of this. Cut that. All right, so let's see here if we can't see the Voronoi. Okay. So that is interesting. We've got our Voronoi pattern going here. All right. I'm just trying to remember how this works. I'm actually going to bring up the help card for this because I can't remember if we need to put that into those things we're trying to find into the position. Not what it can do, what it can do, not the UI. Well, you know, I think they're definitely trying to fix that a little bit, but okay. Let me just see what happens here if we... Oh. I'm so dumb. So dumb. We don't need to do it this way. We don't need to use Voronoi. That's not what we need. We need to just calculate the nearest point. So we're just going to do a near point. And we're going to take the position here and we are going to... can we do this? Be interesting. Okay. So what we actually need to do, as I'm thinking about this, we need to do find the nearest point because that is really what Voronoi is doing. Okay, yeah, that's not actually. That's not actually working. Why is that not working? I know, because I didn't do this. There we go. Okay, so it is working. And this is starting to make a Voronoi pattern for us. and it should change as we go. Perfect. So really at its heart, the Voronoi pattern is just has to do with finding the nearest point to all of the other ones. So that's great. We're obviously we're getting kind of exactly how many years do you have to spend to say I know Houdini? 30? No. I honestly I felt like for me I started feeling really comfortable in Houdini. Now I learned Houdini on like the job, so it wasn't like I was using it or I was learning it as much as I could possibly do. But it took me about a year to feel ready to use it in production. And then from there, you just get more comfortable. So that was, that's me. I don't know, shorter, longer, could be anything. Okay. So we've got this, now sort of fall off type, not fall off, but this matching of these points to one of the source points. And if we look at what we've written out here, we can see that we now have an kind of an ID for the nearest point that will be attached to it, right? So these are going to be the particles, right? Because we're going to do this eventually in our simulation, but for right now, I just kind of want to get this effect, sort of the fall offs and all that stuff built in SOPs. So the other thing that I would really like to do is have a little bit of distance calculation to from the center, the center particle to those outer edges and things like that. So let's take a look at that and see maybe how we might do that. So I think our easiest way of doing this, I'm going to keep going in VOPs here. I think this is going to be fairly useful as far as a good, simple way to do this. We could do this in VEX as well. In fact, we are doing it in VEX when we're using VOPs. So, but anyways, let us get the distance calculation of this. So let's do a, let's see, import point attribute. There we go. And we're going to take this from we can just pipe that right in there, or we could set this to second input. Vector 3, that's going to be a position, right? So this is going to be for our what's the near point, so we know that. And then here, we're going to do an import point, and we are going to, this is just going to be our position of those second, that second stream, and then we're going to just do a distance here. So let's do a distance. There and there. So then this is going to be and we can probably put this in here as well, like that. And so that should work just fine. And so what we're doing here is I'm getting the near point number, and then here we need to say what point we want to look at. So that's why we're doing this. So for each, we're going to look at the nearest point for the distance, right? So let's see what that looks like here. Let's do a bind export. For our distance here, we'll just call this dist, and let's take a look at that. Let's see what that's starting to look like. We'll see how this shakes out. I'm going to delete this, and let's grab another one here. Oh no, distance. There we go. Okay. Hey, Cheese Shake, welcome. All right, so we have this distance fall off here going, and we can see that kind of moving around, right? So what we need to do though is I think that this is, let's do this. Let's come in here. Yeah, let's do auto. Yeah. So let's add in some clamping here, right? So let's just call this, actually instead of calling this distance, let's call this fall. Let's call this fall off over here. And let's do a fit range. Put that in there, and let's we'll keep the destination as 0 to 1 fall off, but let's promote these two. So middle click, promote those. This is going to be fall off. Again, let's just get rid of this one, and instead we'll visualize this fall off. Okay. And so now we'll keep this at 0 to 1 since that's what we're visualizing. And if we go up here, we can now see we have our minimum value, our maximum value. And what I can just do here is just say something like min fall off. Maybe max, actually I'll do this. Max distance, min distance. And basically we're just looking at the minimum and maximum distance here. And so it's probably a little easier to say that. So we could give it stronger, we could give it a wider fall off in the middle here. We could also go a little bit further with this as well. So we could do something like that, right? Pull it a little further, have this come in like that. And so now we should have these working like that. Now, the other thing we might want to do here is just trying to think if we could do anything with the edges to get ourselves some fall off on the edges, right? Because right now, like when they get close together, I mean, they're obvious. We're obviously getting that kind of interaction that we want there, and we can also change this over to be with the near point. And so those two things together will help. But I'm kind of thinking having those little boundaries there might be nice as well. Maybe it's a bit more just turning this down a little. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that looks. We'll kind of play around with that and see. Maybe we'll do 0.25 there. Oh, in fact, this should be inverted because we want it to be strongest the closer it is and weaker the further it is. So that makes more sense like that. Perfect. All right. So we've got something going on here. So that's good. So what we need to do now is maybe take this setup and start implementing it in some sort of a particle simulation. I think that we'll at least be able to start to get something going from that. So we have this point VOP here. So that's good. That's kind of moving these points around. However, we probably don't want to be putting all of those into the simulation because really all we'll be doing is setting the start point of that simulation with these attributes. So let's do this. Let's do a pop network and throw this in here. And actually, we don't even need to do that. We can just bring this in and we can just, oh, no, sorry. We can use this and we'll just change the mode here. So instead of scatter onto surface, we'll say all points. That should work. And then we should have those. Yep. Okay. And we will do birth $F equals 1. So if it's that, it should be at 1 and then 0. Yep, perfect. So that's just kind of our initial setup. We could also do this with our initial geometry instead of having a source here. It's kind of the same difference, honestly. In fact, it's a little trickier to maybe do this because you have to make sure you're making a connection to the right node above. So that's okay. So let's do this. That should be good. They all stay still. We're 10,000 points. Great. So let's do a, let's do this. Let's do a pop vop. And we should be able to just now take the exact same setup we had up here and bring this over. So let's do this. Let's copy those, bring these in here like so, and there we go. Let's see here. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. Those are not excited. All right. So let's see here. Yep. We'll just do from this. This is already set to second input, so we don't really need to worry about that too much. There's our import point. Here's our distance. Fit, bind. Great. All right. So that's all the same stuff that we brought in. And if we look at our pop object here and look at the geometry, we should see that we have a near PT and fall off. And we do. I don't believe they've done anything yet because they haven't started. Oh, I know why. Because we need to set this pop vop to know what it's looking at or looking for. So let's do this. Let's put a null up here. And this was just a test. This is going to be, we can just call this, we'll say target points, because we need to reference this into our pop network. So there's our target points. I'm just going to color that. And then in here, we've got our pop vops, and we need to go to inputs. And the second one is going to be SOP, and we will bring that in. So that's target points. Great. So now, hey, already we got them. All right. So now all this stuff is actually starting to happen in here. So now we have this all calculating through our solver as well. So these are actually updating. So that's good. So that means that within our DOP network, we have those attributes coming in and working. And the reason that this is really important to be doing it in the DOP network is that it as the conditions of this particle setup change, aka as things start moving in position and points start swirling around and stuff like that, those source points do not become affected by that, right? Those target points do not become affected by that. So they all need to know sort of what particle they're still closest to, even when we've got something going on here that is, kind of making things move around and things like that. So let's maybe make some constraints here for this simulation. So why don't we do this? Why don't we let's make a box here maybe, and let's just do this. Let's do a box, and we'll do this size 10 by 10 like that. Let's make it shorter, so we'll only make it maybe 1 high. And let's do a match size here just to make it, and we'll do it by minimum. And we'll just get this to be sitting kind of on the ground plane. And let's say a null here. And this is going to be bounds. We'll do something like that. And that's going to be the boundary for our simulation. So now we can bring in a static object. We're going to just merge this in here. Merges are basically like in DOP world, our way to make a collide relationship. So we can just do this and just sort it like that. So now we have a static object. We're going to look at that SOP path for bounds. We're going to turn this off here. And collision, there we go. And let's just do something like a pop wind just to kind of get things moving around and make sure that we're colliding, you know, the way we expect it to be. Should be fine, but let's just double check. All right, so we'll just turn this up to 1. Swirl size is 2. Pulse length, I don't know. I'm just putting in some random values here. Let's just sort of see what happens here. And sure enough, we're not getting that collision there. Why is it doing that? Oh, maybe what I need to do is do normal and then put these, reverse those. Maybe that's what we need to do, just so that it knows the inside is like that. No, that is so weird. Oh, I wonder if it's, no, I bet you I know what it is. I wonder if it is just that these particles are like just ever so slight, like just kind of close to this. So let's do this. Let's do 9.9 from that. And let's do minus 1.1 there. So that's just a little bit less. Let's do solver default. Oh. Sorry, just seeing here if this. Pop. So what we could actually do, now that I'm thinking of this, is we probably will want to do this little pop grains maybe. Let's try this. See if that does what we want. CL, cool. Okay. So the problem here is that we need P scale on them. Always have a bad time trying to collide on the inside of objects. Maybe just unique points and extrude the faces. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I should do it with an SDF. That actually might make more sense now that I'm thinking of it. But if we want things to stick, we need to okay, so let me just add a P scale here. We'll just make these guys real tiny for right now. Hello. Hey, Falcon. Cool name. Like that. All right. Let's take a look at this. That should maybe work now. Oh, you know what? That's right. I wanted to do this. Add some more axes to it. Let's see if that helps. Okay, so let's do this. All right. I'm going to do a collision source here. And this will be the geometry. This will be the VDB. All right, so this is collision, VDB collision. Okay. And we want to do for the volume. Let's see here. VDB from what? Polygons. There we go. Okay, so let's try this. So we'll do our box. I'm gonna do a little peek action here with this. Make it a little bigger. We'll do a couple VDB from polygons here, like this and this. And let's do it. SDF. Subtract. Do this and this. Now we should have a SDF with the interior like that. Cool. So let's see if we can't do that. We'll call this. Ah, that's the one. Invert sign. Thank you, sir. I forgot. I was thinking that only would work if it was. Yeah. That's perfect. Thank you, sir. That was what I was looking for. Thank you. I knew that was there. I just was thinking, does that work in this case? And it does. So that's all I needed. Okay, perfect. So we've got that. I'm going to do volume. We're going to do proxy volume. VDB collider. Exactly. Welcome to what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Fumble around till something works. That's often the case. So let's do this by size. We'll just paste relative references so that those are the same. And invert the sign. And let's see how that works. There we go. Exactly what we wanted. Beautiful. I'm curious. Would this work? Okay. I was going to say, I thought this would collide without it. So I was really confused what was going on here when those when those grains, like why it wasn't colliding. But there we go. Beautiful. So just a VDB collider, invert the sign, and we're done. Cool. All right. And maybe we'll do gravity force here as well. And just see what that... turn the bounce down on these because it doesn't need to have so much bounce. These might have a lot of bounce too. Yep. Too much. Way too much bounce. So let's do 0.25 and maybe... there we go. And then if we take this up, do this to like 5. Whoa, too much. Maybe 2. Okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. Great, great, great. All right, so now that we have this all working here, the other thing that's really nice about this is we can see our near point and fall off of these. So let's see here. I am just going to do a .io, and we're just going to look at that DOP network. There we go. And the DOP node we're going to look at is going to be the pop object. And we're going to import we're just going to do particles. Let's clear this. Let's do particles. There we go. Perfect. All right. So now we can see both of these. We could do near point and we can do fall off. And so now as these move around in here, we'll see that those attributes are actually moving through here, right? So that's really obviously very helpful for us. And we could do maybe do something interesting here with like a little expression. Let's wire these together to make sure that they're actually, I'm just going to cut both of those. Just do that so that we know that they're going one after another. So the pop vop is doing its thing, and then we're getting the wind. So what we could do here is we could do, we could just say amp equals, and then we could say, what is that? At fall off times 2. Let's try that. And let's maybe make this a little bigger just to make sure that we're actually... Yep. And that should actually be what we're looking for here. Yep. And sure enough, those particles are moving in only the spots where that is really, where that fall off exists. So that's really good. The other thing we might want to do here is... All right, well, we'll leave this for right now and just kind of keep going from there because I'm trying to think of exactly how I want to do this. But let's look at, actually, you know what? Don't think we need to have that offset at all. There we go. Perfect. They move up for a frame, but no big deal. Cool, cool. Okay, so let's look at how we could do some vortex type forces. So in here, in our pop network, there is a pop, what is it? It is a pop. axis force. Is this right? No. What am I thinking? Is it this vortex force? No, but it is that. Yeah, that actually might be what I want. Yeah, pop curve force. Yes, that is what I was looking for. Thank you. I always think it's vortex, but no, this is definitely what I was looking for. So let's do this, and that's good. And I think what we can do here is we should be able to have a bunch of curves coming in here. So what we could do is do something like this. Just have a copy to points. And let's take this. And we'll just do a line here. Like so. And these can be like our little curves that we're going to use. And let's do this. Let's do another match size just to make sure that these are centered. So this is obviously just centering the input so that when we copy them, they're going to be centered around those target points. So there's our target points and they're centered around that. And we can just make this a little shorter. It doesn't need to be quite that long. Let's do maybe 0.5. Actually, no, you know what? We'll leave it at 1. We could always adjust this, but that box is about 1 in height, so that should be fine. Let's do that, and then we'll put another null here and say curve force. So we're going to use that. And we need to put some attributes on this, but I'm going to go back over here and look at this because it should tell us what we need here. So let's first point this over to that curve force. There we go. Actually, you know what? That should be fine. We could probably just do them all uniformly. So we've got a bunch of curve forces now, and we can set their maximum influence radius here, right? However, probably the best thing to do would be to have these go a little bit further and do sort of the same thing we just did with this pop wind, right? So let's actually just pull this off and put this over here. And we could use the exact same thing. We're going to say follow scale is set to 0. We don't want that at all. We don't want any inherent velocity, but we want the suction in the orbit. That'll be good because we can kind of play around with those. So let's just pull this same code over here and we'll just repurpose that. So this, we're going to say scale suction. Just remember that when you're writing these little expressions here, all we need to do is just call the name of these parameters. That's how it's going to work. So we're going to have scale suction and scale orbit like that. And we have these minimum and maximum distances here that we can set. Let's see here. So now we're going to start seeing those move around. We're going to give this max distance a little bit more maybe. Greyhound was just asking, where did you set up the fall off? Oh, the fall off was done up here, up at my, in my VOP. So the fall off is being calculated in here. So that's where that's happening. So let's take a look at this here. Let's maybe set this up a little bit further. Ignore mass. Let's see, can we just go further with this here? Yep. Just gonna play with some of these values. There we go. Cool. So now we should be able to play around with some of these values here and get this starting to do some stuff for us. Oh, that's too big. Let's just do 5 here just to make sure that we don't have to worry too much about that. We should be able to come up here. Carlos, you're saying curve force does have its own fall off. Is there a need for that first calculation of near point distance? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not, because it does have a fall off. That's a good point. Here, let me turn these off and just see what happens if I turn those off, right? Yeah, maybe it doesn't really need that. I wasn't thinking that this would have its own fall off, right? Let's add this in here too, just to get a little bit of extra noise in there. All right, let's see this here. Yeah, there is a reference for it. Sorry, I was just thinking here for a second. Yes. This was the reference that we were going for. So, Yeah, it is Touch Designer for sure. Cool. Okay, so I'm starting to think about this a little bit, and this was my original thought on how we might go about doing this. However, the more I'm thinking about it, the more it might make sense to just like have the basically have our kind of just set this velocity up from scratch, because I was thinking we were going to use this velocity force, but now the more I'm thinking about it, the more it makes sense for us to basically make, like I said, make this velocity force kind of a custom thing, maybe on the points themselves. So I think that's going to make more sense for us, honestly, because I think we're going to be fighting with some of the inbuilt nature of these pop solvers. So it might be better for us just to be adding our own velocities into this, as opposed to trying to make something like this work for us, because we want them to really be those particles to be closely tied to each of those points. Sorry for the dead air. Just thinking. Carlos, you were just saying, I guess randomizing the fall-off value could be useful, or restricting the force only to that near point area. Yeah. That was what I was trying to do, but I think the tricky part about this is indexing the force to which which area that it should be restricted to, right? So I think what we should do is think about this a little bit differently and see if we can't get some velocities moved over and use those to affect our simulation, right? That's what I'm kind of thinking right now. So let's take this in a little bit of a different direction. So I'm not going to do those. We might use that. All right, let's jump back up here and mess around with this a little bit more. So I almost wonder if it would make more sense to have something like sort of this type of a situation here, but instead of it being, can we turn those off, please? Thank you. Instead of that, we do a circle. And we copy those to it. Do it in the XZ plane. We make these really pretty small, just little tiny guys. Like that. So that they're pretty tight to the original target point. And then we just do a we do a polyframe here. Do the tangent as V. That should but nope, would be this one as V maybe. Okay, let me just try all of them. There we go. So now we've got that. There's our velocities that we could use. If we copied those onto all of these, we'll have a bunch of little velocities. And then maybe what we could do here is say, maybe instead we feed this in here like so, and we add one more piece to this puzzle and have that be, instead of P, we look up V. No, sorry. Because we do still want to have this Voronoi type thing. So let's do this. These are going to be our target points. This is going to be our curve force. Into we'll call this maybe like radial vowels, something like that. And then in here, the reason I'm doing it here is because we can kind of test this without having to re-simulate it. It'll just obviously work and do its thing. Here we can, instead of do it from there, we can do it from input 3. The near point, we'd need to have another one of these and have this go to the near point of that. Pull this over here. This is V. Third input. I mean, you can use that wire or that. I don't know why I'm using both. And then we could pull this down here. Result goes into V. And that is very interesting. Okay. I'm liking this. And then what we could do with that is we could use this fall off value. Oops. We could do a multiply here somewhere. Where did I put that? Where'd that go? There it is. We'll have that down here. And then we'll wire this in here, this fall off up there. And this will now multiply those velocities by that fall off. And I'm going to turn off this and visualize V because it will look a little bit clearer, I think, if we have it as, oh, hello, V. There we go. It'll be a little bit easier to see if we do it like that. And so now we have little vortices that will work in relationship to this, right? And so we can take this and cut it way down or up. We can play around with all these different things here like this. And this minimum distance is basically where the fall off starts, right, from the inner part. And then this is the max distance. You could probably have changed that. We could maybe do this with a, what do you call it? With a, sorry, brain fart. We could do that with a ramp, right? We could do that, something like that. So that's cool. That's kind of doing its thing. Let's set this to 2, like that. And if we want this to be a little bit smoother, we could always do this like 24 here, and that's just going to smooth that out a little bit. I think you'll see diminishing returns as you go much further, but you know, you can smooth that out by having more points for it to reference. But let's just do 24. That seems pretty good. All right. Let's bring this all into our VOP and see what happens. Okay. So let's copy all of this. Go in here. I might just make a new one. Let's just make a new one. And there we go. Those are freaking out, but that's all right. In fact, only these middle 2 ones are really what we need to worry about. And they should be at 1 and 3. These other 2 are set to second input, so that's fine. We don't really need to worry about that. Let's pull these back a little bit there. Cool, because those are calculating our near points. And then these are going to import our point values. And that's also binding that near point to a attribute for us. Okay, Let's see how that works. And why is my velocity? That should be down here. Like so. Okay. Cool. Let's see what we got going on here. Ah, yes, I need to bind that input. That's right. So this needs to be SOP. This needs to be SOP. This will be the target points. This will be our radial vels. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. So the other thing, so you're starting to see this actual Voronoi thing happen here, even though it's in this like weird kind of noisy situation, right? So it's like in these in-betweens, we're kind of seeing that play out. So we're starting to get somewhere here. What I probably want to do is go in here and be able to scale this up. So let's do another multiply. This will be our scale value. And let's promote this parameter, and we'll call this Vortex scale. Actually, we don't need an underscore there because it's just the label. All right, so now we have the Vortex scale here. So let's set this to maybe like, I don't know, 5, just for kicks. See where we get here. Cool. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So part of the problem here is that we're pushing the particles out. Ah, yes, good point. Good point. Because it is not, it really should be a force, maybe? I wonder if that would work here. Oh, right. It's right there. Let's just see. Not sure if that would work or not, but let's give it a shot. Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. Yep. I'm just playing with it right now just to see. No, I think you're right though. I think a SOP solver would be a better way to do it. And in fact, there's probably some stuff we want to do inside a SOP solver anyways. That would be smarter to do. Got to overcome that gravity. Okay, we're starting to get something going here. What I'm actually starting to think about is, should we maybe scatter a few more points in here? Because really, I don't think we're going to be hurting for the number of particles we have. So let's see here. Okay. So yeah, I think it might be better for us to do a SOP solver. The other thing I was noticing here with this the simulation is that it almost looks like they're getting pushed straight out once they get past a certain point. So I think that's kind of interesting to me. So it's a little hard to tell exactly what's going on, actually. But with that being said, I sort of wonder if we couldn't do something where we, that also might be because of the collision. I don't know. Interesting. But I think what I want to do is have something where we add a little bit of inward suction based on how far they are. So I think I'm going to do that as well, so that we get a little bit more of like that orbital type of a setup. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. Also, I am going to do the pop grains again because I think that will be nice to have collisions in here. So let's see what happens here. We start doing this. Okay. The average diameter. Okay, right. I forgot you can do that in the scatter. Duh. Okay, so that's good. So it should be double that. So we'll just set it to something like that. It's a little chaotic. Interesting. Sorry, I just want to see what happens here if we don't do anything. Yeah, that's too bad. I was hoping that we could get that to work. Gabe, you're trying to make it turn into grains. Yeah, I just wanted to have collisions. I don't really need it to be grains per se. I mean, yeah, I guess it's grains. I mean, I guess I could just do a vellum type thing instead of this. I think the speed would be a little slower in that regard, but yeah, let's just try that actually. It's not the worst idea ever. Let's see. see if we could do that. You know, I'm using this kind of old school pop grains. But it's just running away on me here. Technically, I guess it does. I don't think there is actually a pop grain. There's no real. There is a grain source here that you could do, and we could use that maybe. Let's see here. Sheet. Yeah, grain source. Could try this and see if this will work. I mean, it's relatively the same setup, right? Let's do this. Copy that parameter. We'll paste that relative reference. Let's see. Interesting. What else did this put on here? Anything else? I don't think so. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a collision detection either on it, to be honest, but that's okay. That was too dense. I don't think we need 1.1 million particles. That's a little crazy. Let's do something like that. Let's see here. Can we... That is so weird. I'm just shocked that it's that much more stable. I mean, really, it's just scattering points and adding a p-scale to it. That's so wild. Anyways, yeah, it's great. Thank you for that suggestion. I didn't even think that that would really change things all that much. That is great. Great to know. All right, so let's see here. What if we do that? Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's actually going to be too chaotic with the collisions. I think it's going to be a little too crazy. It's kind of just going off into infinity. All right, let's not worry about it then. It's interesting though. This grain source node does give a really nice kind of sheet of grains. Kind of cool. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try some other stuff here. So the other thing that we might want to try is to have a blend a vector in to our velocity that will either pull it, the closer it is to the center, maybe it'll pull it towards it. And as we go further away, it might maybe even push it away, and there might be a break-even point there. So I think what we could do with that is take, let's see here. Let's do a, let's try it back up here for a second just to make sure that our math is right. Okay, so up here, let's do, so we need to take the distance, or the direction between the imported point and our current point. So let's do, gosh, I always do this wrong. I think it's a subtract. I think we're going to want to go from this to this. And let's just see, can we get a visualization of this? Okay. So that we could do maybe as red. There we go. So those are pointing away. Cool. All right, so that's working. If we change it like this, they'll point inwards. Either way would work, but yeah, let's do that. Let's do it that way. And then this is going to be kind of our inward vector. And we can take that and blend it into our velocity. Okay, just try to clean this up a little. It's not such a mess. Okay. So this is going to be our in and out direction. And if we moved this over like this, we'll see that those are all going to be now pointing inwards. So what we could do is, based on the fall off, which would be here, probably want to set a new ramp here. So let's do this. Let's just make another fit here. We'll grab this distance again. We'll promote source min, source max, and then we could set this to -1 or 1 maybe. Yeah, because if it's -1, that should invert it, right? Let me see. I think that will. Yeah, there we go. Cool. That was what I was hoping for. Okay, so now we've got vectors that kind of cross over there. Let's actually, oops, went too far. Let's take this and do a ramp parameter with it. And we can take that and we'll do this as a spline ramp. And let's actually do this 0 to, or actually I need to do 2 fits here. So we're going to do 0 to 1, put that through the ramp, and then do another ramp here. I think this makes sense. I mean, you could hello? No, not a ramp. Fit range. So this will help us invert it. So we can say 0 to 1, or no, just spread it out like that. And if we come up here, we should have this ramp, and now this will allow us to kind of control how these things are, you know, kind of where their actual crossover is and all that kind of stuff. So let's do this and this, do it like that, and this will control where that kind of in and out suction-y force will go. Just fun to look at. Let's do that and that. Oh, right. Interesting. Actually, probably want this to be... No, I guess that doesn't matter. Just thinking that that would make a difference. Right, this is actually this is confusing me for some reason. Why is it doing that? What if we do? There we go. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. So wherever it's up, past the center, it's going to pull it towards it. Wherever it's perfectly in the middle, we're going to have no velocity. And then where it's down, it's going to push out. So there we go. We can kind of control that. Cool. So let's do, oops, 0.5 there. Let's do another one, 0.5. Then we've got some control over that. Cool. So maybe we do something like that. I don't know. We'll play with it, see what happens. And then we want to blend those together. Let's see here. How can we do that? So what it should be right now is this one. That's the vortex. And then this, oops. Sorry. Okay. I'm just realizing I did something dumb. This should be coming off of this, fall off. This should be connected up to here. And let's see. We're starting to get to the point where this would be actually easier to do in code. Probably would have been easier to do in code from the beginning, but that's okay. And let's get another multiply here. There and there. Actually, those need to be reversed so that it's output like that. Oh, I see what I did. Sorry. Change that and that. There we go. Okay, so there's our rotational setup. Whew, I just got my brain all twisted up. Okay, so let's just do that. That is the output of the velocity. Cool. Okay, that's working. So we're going to do this. This is going to be the output of the rotational velocity. There we go. That's great. Okay, perfect. So what we want to do now is, yeah, so what we actually probably just wanted to do was take, so I think I actually added too many things in here because this would be doing, this is kind of like resetting itself a little bit here. So if we did this to 2, that should work. And Let's just reset this ramp to be linear. I don't understand how that even happened. It's kind of cool though. What did I change there? I changed something, but what? The fit here, 0 to 1. This is literally doing nothing. Well, I'm not sure what I did there. Oh man, I just flipped something around on myself. What did I do? Distance. Yeah, Carlos, you want to normalize the suction vectors? Yes. Right. Yeah, I could do that. I do want them to kind of have a little bit of a flip because I want them to both suck and pull and then be spinning as well. So I'm a little unsure about that, but yeah, let's see what happens if I normalize these just to look at them, because if we do a normalize here, this is going to make them all unit vectors, right? So now they're going to equally push apart here with the same force. If we turn this off, we're going to get a little bit of like smooth movement where this is going to have 0, this is going to have a little more push, and these are going to be pulling more and more and more. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think we want to do a it's a mix, I think. Yeah, mix. We could take this and this, put it in here. Yeah. So that is doing something interesting. It's a 50-50 blend right now, and it's doing something interesting. And we could have it all that, or we could have it all this, right? However, I think we want to have another fit here that we can use. All right, I'm going to pull this down here and just get rid of this. I don't think we're going to need to write that out. I guess we can always just leave it. Okay, so we have a couple of fits here. We'll just pull these over so this is maybe a little easier to see. One there. Okay. So, yeah, we can definitely mix these together and make something interesting there. The thing I'm not understanding, I did something really strange here that I'm like trying to make sense of, is that these... Oh, what am I doing here? Let's look back here. This. So... don't understand how that is working. It's really strange. Did something get weird here? No? Okay. All right, let's just start this over again. I don't know why that happened the way it did. Okay, so we've got our distance here. We want to do a fit, range. Put that in there. What is going on here? Sorry, I did something really stupid. Okay, let's look at this fall off. Okay, those are my fall offs. Yep, that makes sense. Let's look at these fall offs. How could that be the fall off? Okay, that makes sense. They're not inverted. Ah, that's what I'm doing. I'm losing my mind. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let me just undo that because that was my problem from the very beginning here. So let's just go back to where this was set up sort of right with just one minor issue. Here, and this should be 1 and 0. And then if we turn this on, we should be able to control this. Okay, so there's the fall offs. Those are right. Let's look at this. This has not changed anything. This has. There we go. I believe that is what the problem was there. Nope. Ah, I know what the issue is. We need to multiply these by 0 to 1. So we can do that. Oh, right. We can do this. That's right, because that's multiplying our yes. So this should be like that. Okay. Cool. All right. So we need to do this and that, I think. Yep. Sheesh. Okay. Now we got something going on here. I think what we could do too is just promote these guys up and just delete those. Just do this. They'll just both be driven by the same parameters, and that should be fine. All right, let's see how that works, just out of curiosity. All right, so actually, let's just pull that whole thing over here and just do this. What did I do here? I think I actually had something else in there that was pushing that further. I'm just going to undo that real quick. Right. I had this scale in there. Okay. Let's go back over here. Should probably just be doing this all in that, but whatever. It's done with me, but okay. Back over here. Remove that, put this in, and we want to add a scale at the end. All right. So why don't we use a SOP solver? Because I think that might be better for us. Let's check this out here. Could I make this be -5? We'll do this as -1, and can we do this as 5? I just want to see if I can like have the suction force be a little stronger. Maybe we don't even need it to push against. Maybe we'll just do this. All right, let's do this. Let's look back at that thing again. All right, let's just try putting a ton more particles in here. I'm just going to do it like that so we can just see it without having to jump inside. That's kind of funny. All right, I'm just going to come back in here, play around with this a little bit. Play around with some of these values, see what we can get up to. Just curious about something here. Just wonder if this being like a whole bunch of particles like that might make it any better. No, not really. I don't know, guys. This one is feeling very much like it's gonna stump me tonight, which is fine. It's okay to not be able to figure stuff out sometimes, especially when you're doing it on the fly. It's a little tricky sometimes. Carlos, that's an interesting suggestion there. Would you be how would you make the collision with walls of every Voronoi cell? It's interesting because I really don't think that you would do that. I don't think, because what would end up happening there is I think you would have these cells that would move around and would change different sizes, and then each of those sections would like gain or lose particles. Here we're really not seeing that happen because obviously as these volumes change, they change, like as the volumetric area of each of those sections are changing, the number of particles seems to be staying the same. So it's like the particles are getting passed between each of them. It doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't seem like we've got separate sections of walls of the Voronoi here, right? It really feels more like I guess it could be. But like there's certain parts where I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in some of these areas. So we could try that. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to give it a shot. I think the trickier thing, I think you would really just want it to be could be particles are spawning and dying. Yeah, that's an interesting suggestion as well. What you could, let's see, what could you do with that Voronoi, right? So if we did a Voronoi fracture, I'm just gonna do it like this, really messy. Okay. Can I do a polyline with these? Polypath. That's the one. Is there a way to do just the edges? Just do this. Maybe that'll fix it. Yeah, perfect. Boy, this is a mess. Just figuring out if these are, there's 3 points there selected. Okay. So we'd probably want to fuse those. Then no. I mean, this is sort of the idea of what would be happening there, right? What if we just do this instead? Convert those to lines. Same difference. Well, now I'm just flailing in another issue here, but I might have to call this one for the evening because I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to figure this one out very well. I mean, like, it's sort of working. Things are sort of happening, but just not happy with it. I feel like we could, I mean, obviously I'm not happy with it. It's not right. Yeah, guys, I think this is gonna have to be one of the not so great entries in the last couple of years. Failure's always an option, right? And I just don't know. I thought we'd be able to get something that felt a little bit better than this, but I won't let it go. I'll definitely think about this. It's a nice long weekend, so you might hear from me on Discord. With that in mind, if you would like to join our Discord server, it's at houdinihangout.com. You can connect over there. Another thing I should say too, since we're kind of going to wrap things up here shortly, is if you are interested in, well, first of all, if you're interested in playing around with this, I'll upload this file and you can always, yeah, there's definitely some shader stuff going on too. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but yeah, there's definitely some rendering kind of stuff happening with it. But if you want to play around with this file, they're going to be on our, if you go to the Discord server, there is a link to download all the HIP files from all these different streams and stuff like that. So please feel free to go on there. Those are free. Go and grab them. And if, in the coming weeks too, I should say that if I am around and, well, first of all, I'll be gone for the last couple weeks of next month for SIGGRAPH. So that's something just to know. So I won't be around for a couple weeks. Be in Denver. I'm also doing a little vacation there with my wife as well. But if they do come out, if the Houdini 20.5 gets released at some point, in the, before I do leave for that, I'll probably do some sort of a stream for that. And if it needs to be on like a weird off day or something, I might do that as well. Just because I think it'll be fun to kind of go in and play around with some of that stuff and get into some of the new features. Yeah, so if that does happen, keep an eye out for the Discord as well. Keep an eye out for Twitter and that kind of thing. Yeah, so other than that, thank you all for joining and for your comments and being a part of the stream. It's like I said, it's always so much better to have lots of people communicating in here and have people chatting, because then it's not just me trying to fumble through things like this, but lots of people, having their comments in here and kind of putting their thoughts together, I think makes these types of, hopefully these live streams, a little bit more helpful to people. So thank you all so much for joining tonight. If you're interested or need help with anything, or have yeah, you're welcome, guys. Thank you all so much for joining. We will see you all next time. Come see us over on the Discord server and say hi and let us know if you're working on something fun or need some help. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.